Throughout its more than 2,000 years of history, Catholicism has been not only a religion, but also a cultural, political, and geo-spiritual entity with a profound influence on the destiny of many nations. From ancient empires and European monarchies to modern democracies, the imprint of Catholicism is present in law, education, diplomacy, the military, the economy, and even in the historical decisions of humanity. Entering 2025, the world is changing at an unprecedented pace. Local wars, religious conflicts, moral crises, crises of faith, and the decline of traditional values are raising a major question. Which Catholic nation holds real power in the modern world? That power is not measured solely by military strength or GDP, but also by spiritual influence, moral voice, global networks, and the ability to shape human thought. In this video, we will explore the top 5 most powerful Catholic countries in the world in 2025, based on the following criteria. Global religious influence, political and diplomatic role, cultural strength, history, and long-term impact. We cannot begin this list without mentioning the only center of Catholic power in the world, a small country in terms of area but with an influence far exceeding that of any superpower. Vatican. With an area of less than 0.5 square kilometers and a population of only a few hundred people, the Vatican does not possess a powerful army or a large economy. But it is the spiritual heart of more than 1.3 billion Catholic faithful worldwide. The Vatican is home to the Holy See, the institution with official diplomatic relations with more than 180 countries, more than the United Nations. The Pope, the head of state of the Vatican, is one of the most influential moral leaders on the planet. In 2025, the role of the Vatican will become even more prominent as the world faces crises of faith, religious conflict, and war. The Pope's messages on peace, human rights, the protection of life, and social justice will continue to be heard not only by the faithful, but also by heads of state. The Vatican does not rule by force, but by ultimate soft power, the power of faith, tradition, and human conscience. Leaving the Vatican, we arrive at a country considered the eldest daughter of the Church, France. Although France is a secular nation today, Catholic history is deeply embedded in its cultural, political, and ideological structure. From the time of Clovis I and Charlemagne to the feudal dynasties, Catholicism was the foundation of French power. In 2025, France remains one of the most influential global nations. A member of the United Nations Security Council, a military power, and a cultural and intellectual center of Europe. Thousands of Catholic churches, monasteries, schools, and charitable organizations in France continue to play a vital role in social life, education, and humanitarian diplomacy. The Catholic influence of France is no longer manifested through laws, but through a legacy of thought, art, philosophy, and theology that has shaped Western civilization. Underscore 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 underscore. Next is Italy, the country surrounding the Vatican and also one of the cradles of early Christianity. Italy is not only the birthplace of the Roman Empire, but also the historical center of the Catholic Church for centuries. Rome, the eternal city, is where the apostles were martyred and where the foundations of the universal church were formed. In 2025, Italy will still maintain a special connection with the Vatican, both geographically and culturally. A large portion of the Italian population identifies as Catholic, and Christian values continue to profoundly influence family, education, and social morality. Italy is also a center for theological, priestly, and religious training for the whole world. Thousands of international theology students study in Rome each year, bringing Italian Catholic influence to every continent. Italy's power is not loud, but enduring and deeply ingrained. Leaving Europe, we arrive at the United States, the country with the largest Catholic population in the world. Approximately 70 million Americans are Catholic, making the United States the largest Catholic center outside of Europe. By 2025, Catholicism will play an increasingly important role in American politics, society, and media. Many leading politicians, Supreme Court justices, businesspeople, and academics in the U.S. are Catholic. American Catholic organizations are present in hundreds of countries, involved in education, healthcare, humanitarian aid, and international policy advocacy. The United States is also the site of major debates on bioethics, the right to life, the family, and religious freedom, core themes of modern Catholicism. The strength of American Catholicism lies in its resources, media, and global reach. Finally, we cannot fail to mention Brazil, the world's largest Catholic country by population. With over 120 million Catholic faithful, Brazil is a pillar of Catholicism in South America and globally. The Catholic faith in Brazil exists not only in churches, but permeates music, festivals, families, and daily life. In 2025, Brazil will play a significant role in the global church, particularly in issues of social justice, poverty, the environment, and human rights. The combination of faith and social action makes Brazilian Catholicism vibrant and influential. Brazil represents the future of global Catholicism, where faith is not just tradition, but a driving force for social change. Looking back at the top 5 most powerful Catholic countries in the world in 2025, we realize one important thing. Catholic power lies not in weapons, but in its lasting influence on the conscience of humanity. In a world of uncertainty, faith remains a spiritual anchor for billions of people. And no matter how the future changes, Catholicism, with its history, tradition, and spiritual strength, will continue to be one of the world-shaping forces for centuries to come. But to fully understand why these nations are considered the most powerful in the Catholic world in 2025, we need to delve deeper into a more fundamental question. What is true Catholic power in the 21st century? In an era where many empires are built on military might, money, and technology, Catholicism operates on a completely different logic. It is a system of power that exists alongside modern nations, borderless, without armies in the traditional sense, yet capable of influencing billions of people simultaneously. That power is built on 3 main pillars: collective faith, a global network, and an unbroken historical continuity. No other organization in the world can claim to have existed continuously for more than 2,000 years, surviving the collapse of empires, world wars, and the scientific and technological revolution, and still maintaining its core structure. And that is why Catholic states are not only political entities, but also strategic nodes in the global network of spiritual power. Let's return to the Vatican, but this time not as a state, but as the central brain of the Catholic world. Every decision made at the Vatican, whether a message, an apostolic letter, or a short statement, can have a ripple effect globally. Dioceses in Africa, Asia, Latin America, or Europe closely monitor the direction from Rome. In 2025, as the world faces profound polarization in politics, morality, and values, the Vatican will serve as a rare balancing point, where voices represent not national interests, but universal values. This is why many analysts call the Vatican a moral superpower. But a central brain cannot function without the channels of power, and here, Catholic Europe plays a particularly important role. France and Italy are not just 2 countries on this list, but also 2 historical pillars of Western Catholic civilization. In France, Catholicism was once the foundation for the formation of the modern state. Although French society today is secular, Catholic values are still present in concepts such as human rights, human dignity, and social justice. Catholic charitable organizations, schools, and research institutes in France remain active, especially in the fields of education and international humanitarianism. France is also one of the most influential countries among global Catholic organizations operating in Africa, considered the future of the Church. Meanwhile, Italy plays a completely different role, the role of preserving memory and tradition. Rome is not only the administrative center of the Church, but also the world's largest repository of Catholic history. Ancient manuscripts, theological documents, and the spiritual legacy of hundreds of popes are preserved and studied there. Italy thus becomes a focal point for Catholic intellectuals worldwide. Academic, theological, and long-term decisions for the Church are often formed within this intellectual environment. If Europe is where Catholicism originated and is preserved, then the United States is where Catholicism adapts and thrives in the modern world. What makes the United States special in 2025 is not just the number of believers, but its ability to transform faith into social influence and public policy. American Catholic organizations possess enormous financial resources, extensive media networks, and effective political lobbying capabilities. In many global issues such as humanitarian aid, education, healthcare, and the protection of religious freedom, the United States is one of the most important coordinating centers for Catholicism. At the same time, it is in the United States that Catholicism faces its greatest challenges: extreme individualism, conflicting values, and deep political polarization. How American Catholics engage with these challenges will directly impact the future of the global Church. But if the United States represents the present, Brazil represents the future. The rapid growth of Catholicism in South America, particularly Brazil, shows a clear shift in power from the Northern Hemisphere to the Southern Hemisphere. In Brazil, the Catholic faith is not merely ceremonial, but deeply connected to community life, the poor, and social issues. This gives Catholicism there a more dynamic, emotional, and intimate character compared to the traditional European model. In 2025, the voices of South American Catholic nations will be increasingly heard at the Vatican, particularly on issues of the environment, social justice, and globalization. Brazil is not only a populous Catholic nation, but also a new center of influence for the global Church. However, the top 5 most powerful Catholic countries don't exist in a vacuum. Surrounding them are other nations, Poland, Spain, the Philippines, Mexico, that also wield significant influence and are competing for positions in the global Catholic order. This competition isn't confrontation, but rather a shift in roles and influence. By 2025, the question will no longer be which nation dominates Catholicism, but which nation will shape its future. Will it be Europe with its long-standing traditions? The United States with its media and organizational power? Or South America and Africa with their vibrant faith? When we look at the whole picture, one thing becomes clear. Catholicism isn't weakening, it's changing its form of power. From hard power to soft power. From a European center to a global one. From institutional to community. The top 5 most powerful Catholic countries in the world in 2025 not only reflect the current situation but also indicate the direction of faith in the 21st century. And in an increasingly directionless world, perhaps these long-standing spiritual values will continue to serve as a moral compass for humanity.